Hey guys, today we're here with Rich Crowley of Rich Crowley Reptiles. Those of you that have that know him probably have seen that he wrote a book on Shoretel Pythons called The Passionate Journey.
With Shoretel Python. Yeah.
Of course. Oh, I guess you're not going to be in the video. I have read it. It's a great book. So if you have not, get out there. I know. Are you selling it direct, or are you just doing it like through Amazon still?
People could contact me directly through the website or email me if they got the contact my email address, and it's $25 directly. I'll autograph it. I charge a few extra dollars for shipping and handling, and actually most of that goes to donation to US ARC, of course.
Perfect.
And then, but you could buy it through Amazon, so it's on all the channels.
I know I got mine directly from you, but I wasn't sure what you were doing.
Yeah.
Now, so we're in one of his reptile rooms here, and we're going to talk some Shoretel Pythons. I'm pretty excited about some of the stuff he has. I already went through and looked, so it won't be as much of a surprise for me. But I'll let Rich take it away, and we'll start looking at some stuff here.
Sure. Well, we'll start out with, everybody always wants to see a red blood python. So we'll start out with the classic. I'll bring this guy out because is referred to as Big Red for good reason. So anybody wants to know how big a blood python can get, at least here's a perspective for you. Kind of put them a little bit under the light.
Yeah.
So this is originally an imported one. It came in through Triple L Reptile many eons ago. I think he's right around 17 years old right now. So, and he's this is what you could expect when you take good care of them. They should be able to be as laid back as this, and you got a big, nice, sluggy snake, which is everybody likes to curl up to.
Yeah.
So. And then that's the normal, right? So I usually like to show the yin and yang. Normally he's got a black head, normal looking. So we'll kind of show one of my favorites, a T-positive albino. This is from the blood cell from Karen, Rhinornis. There's the white head, and of course he's got the beautiful red colorations, typical with a T-positive albino.
Yeah, people on my channel, I've seen a lot of T-positive. Like I was telling you before, almost everything I have has it in there somewhere.
Yeah, it's a great
I
gene.
love it. Yeah.
Awesome. And of course you're laid back too. He's been around. This one also, so this is a 2007 hatchling, so he's about 13 years old. He's done a lot of siring.
Nice.
So that's my one boy. Knock my feed card over.
Yeah.
Put that down. Newest edition, of course, is the one you always got to have that one in your collection that you just like fawn over and drool over, and kudos go out to Nick Bettini on this one because
nice. I have some Nick animals.
Oh yeah.
There's certain people you have to have animals from, or you don't rate, you know.
Yeah, this is the one that just left me
Matt.
broke afterwards. So, and this one is a golden eye morph, but it's a golden eye super stripe het hypo, and I believe it's a possible het T-positive albino.
Nice.
This little boy is expected to do his job.
I was gonna say he's right about that size where they start really turning it on. So.
Oh yeah, so I think I'll name him Casanova if he gets the job done.
There
but
you
up
go.
until now, he remains nameless. So
he's got to earn it.
Yeah, there's always that odd chance, as we all with Shoretel Pythons learn. Sometimes the males turn out to be females by accident.
Yeah.
So
I'm going through that right now. I think we're gonna find out hopefully this season. That boy's 4 years old, so if he's not turning it on this year, I don't know if it's gonna happen.
it turned out to be a girl, right?
Yeah. And guess who sexed it? Me. So there's no one else to blame.
So another props out to another name in the industry that we all love, Matt Turner. This is a Lily line genetic stripe T-positive, T-positive.
And so Matt produced my T-positive 007 to you guys that have seen him. And then I also got my male white lip from Matt as well. So
Matt's got great stuff.
He does.
Yeah. So yeah, I love the Lily. So the interesting part with the Lily, of course, is that sort of chaining of the black eyes on the side. And then of course the fact that they produce some like almost a lavenderish hue under certain conditions. Especially with the T-positive albinos. Produced a couple. I think Ryan Rumley's got some babies from this one.
Yeah.
So
Ryan Rumley loves my YouTube videos. Don't let him fool you.
There you go, Ryan.
Yeah.
That's the mom.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if he notices. We'll know now.
All right, girl.
He said that's how he tortures his snakes when they're bad. He makes them watch my videos.
So we've got Borneos. I mean, I've been probably was known more for my Borneos in the beginning than the Bloods, but obviously I'm into Shoretel Python, so I kind of like them all.
Yeah.
So here's third generation. What was a granite line also produces ultra brights. Kind of almost want to step a little bit into light, kind of give an idea of the coloration.
Yeah, they're hard to pick up on.
They are.
I hate photographing them.
So this is a male that I've had produced a few years back, and he's been doing some work this season, so he's been pretty active.
Awesome.
Thanks to the great, wonderful weather patterns that we've had that's creating havoc everywhere else.
Yeah. I know that it stinks that I'm behind on getting stuff where I want it to pair it up, because I would like to be taking advantage now. But I'll wait. My girls don't seem to be cycling just yet.
No.
At least based on what I've seen.
Yeah, I almost want to say I used to pair them up later, and now I've been pairing them up earlier.
Yeah.
And it seems to make a difference. I think part of that is the conditions in this reptile room versus where it was 15 years ago have changed. This room is definitely more consistent. I don't have the cool pattern that I used to have in my old house. And it seems like I almost feel like I can put them together at any time as long as I got a good storm front coming in. And
Gotcha.
Keeping the boys and girls together long
There's
enough.
some people that have been successful with these year round. I haven't tried outside of the season that I usually do, but maybe one year if I have a girl that looks good, I'll just try it out and see what happens.
I've had eggs as early as November.
Oh wow.
Hatching on really it'll be New Year's Eve, and I've had stuff hatch all the way out till really October, I think was the latest.
Yeah, I had a clutch last year, the year before, that was hatching while I was at Tinley.
Okay.
So that was my latest, mid-October. I think the earliest I've had eggs hatch is maybe March. For me, I haven't had any earlier, but I typically don't even start pairing until around Christmas, Thanksgiving. Sometimes I've had girls I don't start pairing until February. It just all depends on where I feel like they're at. I don't know how you feel with short tails, but I feel like they really give you a lot of signs when they're ready. Between they'll bull wrap, they'll cool side seat, they'll do all the python stuff that really lets you know they're ready. Sometimes they'll get a little edgier, they start to get a little crabby there during certain times.
I think that was the biggest clue for me this season, was everybody was coasting back and forth on the cages.
Yep.
I have to also say, so this is props out to ARS, because I bought these ARS cages earlier this year. I really like the construction, but it gives me more visibility into the animals. It's a little bit easier to get in and clean and maintain them. And I'm finding that, especially now with this season, I've got a lot of animals I'm pairing up. So that they're kicking the water bowls over. The males are coasting the cages a lot more aggressively this year. They've got more space to roam in. It helps a lot. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We won't know until next year, right? If this
Right.
all pans out. So
Yeah, I think they're nice. They're nice tubs for the short tails for sure. They're kind of like perfect footprint.
right.
Height's one of those things that's just pretty useless to short tails. So it's, just more space to try to heat. So it's that perfect height where there's plenty of room for egg laying or whatever else. But
Well, and wrapping food when you feed
Yes.
them.
I had a few racks that it's like you have to piece them in, and it's not fun.
Yeah. So we'll kind of show. So another thing I guess you could say I'm a little bit more known for is this Sarawak locality of Shoretel Python. Don't probably film them as often as I should.
She already went back.
Yeah, she went back. So this is my big girl that I've been using for breeding. Not as now this one's an older animal. I've had her. When did she hatch? So this is a 20. Stay there, girl. 2008. So this is a 12-year-old animal. Very stout bodied, and as you saw earlier when she's got that really dimpled scale that's
Yeah, they
textured.
feel completely different than any other short-tail python that you've ever encountered. So if you haven't touched these before, and today was my first time, which that was the thing I was probably most excited about coming over here, because I've only seen these in pictures. I've never seen them in person, and they have not disappointed. I love the stout heads and the thicker They just have a different
Stick
build.
body.
Everything about them is
Yeah.
just a little bit different.
She's dense. She's
Yeah.
a lot denser than the other snakes. So
Looks like if she decided to give you a food response, probably wouldn't feel too good either. She looks pretty built.
yeah,
But
she's
yeah,
actually pleasant today too.
yeah, the scalation's crazy. Not quite like a rough scale python, but it's something towards that
Right.
direction, just to give somebody something that they might have touched before. I can't think.
It's one of those ones that pictures don't do it justice. It's
Yeah.
not quite as extreme as an Angolan python when you feel about the little bit of bubbliness that they have on there, but I think the shape of the scales, the texture of them, the fact that they definitely have a more stout body than what we see typically with the Borneos.
Yeah.
You know, I guess the jury's still out on sort of where they fall on that right now. They're still python breeding Steenie. You know, who knows with the
Have they done any genetic stuff for them to really see how similar or different they are?
Yeah,
on
so
that?
back in '98, when I first got into the Sarawaks, I acquired them from Chris Carmichael, and Chris had started doing locality-related research on different species
Okay.
of snakes, and he had done it with the Sarawaks. And I know that there was enough observations of the RNA variations, you know, to the extent I don't have all the details on that one,
Mhm.
but there seemed to be something to, you know, at least recognize that they were different from some of the other Borneos that were out there.
Right.
I would, just like anything else, I think there probably needs to be more research. I doubt there will be that much done specifically for them, but
Well, it's funny because I've mentioned it on other videos, but from a knowledge standpoint, we're actually benefiting from the issue down in the Everglades because they're doing so much more research on Burmese pythons for eradication purposes. But we're learning stuff that we probably would have never learned otherwise about. I did a video on it where their genetics of their organs actually change so that they can increase in size by so much in order to, you know, I'm sure a lot of our other species are doing similar things, but I don't think we would have known that information without that kind of research.
yeah, I mean, understanding and appreciation of the physiological changes they go through during that digestive period. And
Yeah.
I'm not sure it's necessarily a genetic change, it's a physiological change.
Yeah, well, they said the code actually changes.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I read a whole article on it, and I forget where I found it, but if you search it,
I'll have to look at
it basically, whatever tells an organ to grow to a certain size, that part of the code alters,
Okay.
and so it grows
Got
for,
this little switch there.
right.
Yeah.
and then it switches back, but it takes about 2 weeks from start to finish. So then you have to think about the fact if you're feeding your snake every week, then you're never ever turning that switch off
Yeah,
to
right.
where it resets.
Yeah.
So it's interesting stuff.
So let's so another name to toss out, another animal that I've got was from Michael Ogle, and this is an animal that I had picked up at Tinley a couple years ago, and this is a Batrix, part of that Selective Origins group, Matt
Yeah.
Turner and Michael Ogle. I think Michael actually is the one who produced this one. So this is a Batrix, so this is a Matrix and Batik gene. And I believe this one is a possible Het T positive. I love the Batik gene. I just think it's a phenomenal gene, and you know, as much as we can sort of
It's
play
grown
around
on
it.
me so much. In the beginning, I was like, I don't know, because it's so different from everything blood python that I was used to.
Yeah,
But
right.
it took a little while to kind of accept it, but now I do really enjoy it. And the male that I have just keeps getting better and better.
Oh, they're cool.
So I'm very excited to hopefully, as soon as this year, he might get paired up, but definitely next year he should.
Cool. Yeah, this is a little female. This is a 2018 female, so she's got a little ways to go before I'll even consider breeding her.
Yeah, I like to let mine go for a while. I have some 2015 stuff I haven't even paired up yet.
Oh, yeah.
I'm slow about everything I do.
So, let's see what else we got here. So, people have seen me talk about Bankas, the pink Banka island. So, Banka island is a smaller island form of the blood python. This specifically, the pink Banka island morph, for the, you know, huff and puff at me.
Yeah.
This is from the blood cell line originally, Kara and Ryan Norris.
I'll try to get that tail in there if
Yeah.
it'll cooperate, because I really love the contrast there.
Yeah.
So I've been a person that has always said, Bankas don't really do it for me, but seeing them in person definitely makes a huge difference. I'm not sure how much the color is going to pop on the video, but they are super nice in person.
Well, I think the biggest challenge with the Bankas is there's a lot of confusion. Just because the locality doesn't guarantee that they all look the
Right.
same. And I think you really kind of have to buyer beware. I think sometimes people use the labels I think one telltale sign is all the Bencas I have are all smaller. So they're definitely indicative of an Islander form that typically is smaller. They're a little, I've noticed a little bit of unusual breeding results with them, so I'm starting to deviate a little bit from the locality specific etch. I'm breeding Banca to Banca this year, which will be F2s for me.
Okay.
But I'm also outcrossing them to other animals to see if the Benca line actually will enhance color and any other attributes on them, especially with that crazy striping that's on there.
Okay.
So we'll see over time if things
Now,
take.
do you notice like different clutch sizes with them? Is
The
it less,
clutches
more?
have been smaller. I would say the clutches have been smaller. There's been, I would say for up until this point, because there's not a lot of, I've had like 2 breedings so far. Clutches were smaller. The fertility, not the fertility, but the morbidity on it was unfortunately pretty low. I should say low, but I had a lot of die-offs on them. A lot of abnormalities were popping up, and I don't know if we're kind of pushing the line breeding too far, or if it's just a nuance of these animals, for instance. So I have kept back all the animals. I actually had recently posted about a one-eyed female that I had, and I actually was able to rehome that to somebody to keep it as a pet.
Nice.
It was an awesome animal. Yeah, hey, we all do that at some point, right?
I did. I was actually just at my friend's house that I'm staying in here in Illinois, and they have a female from me that was the one-eyed from that sibling to the petite I was talking about, which is doing great with them. But my take on that stuff is always, if it hatches and feeds on its own and does all that and wants to live, then I'll find you a pet-only home, or I'll keep you. And that snake ate first time offered and has never looked back.
Awesome.
So
yeah, I had great success with the one eye, and it actually took me a while before I realized, because every time I came into the cage, it was always facing the opposite way.
I had one of those. There was a second one from that clutch that had one eye, and I didn't notice for probably like 2 or 3 months. And I had taken the animal outside for pictures. Like you said, it was always setting that way, and I never noticed. And then all of a sudden, I was talking to somebody, I had it in my hand. I had taken it all the way to me with Pennsylvania, because that was a joint project with Dylan.
Oh, okay.
And like he looked at it, he sexed it there, because we did that together just to pick our holdbacks and stuff. Neither one of us noticed, and then all of a sudden one day I'm like, holy shit, this snake is one-eyed.
Yeah, of all the years that I've been breeding the Shoretel Pythons, which is probably going back now for about 25 years, I've only had one instance of a one-eyed snake, which was the pink Benca. And then last year, I had an unusual ivory clutch that had a bunch of weird anomalies. And I had one that had an exceptionally large eyeball, which was really weird. And that one didn't really thrive for very long.
I have a blue ghost female that's just about adult now that has smaller eyes.
Okay.
And it's one of those things, if you looked at her quick, you wouldn't notice, but when you really look at it, you can see it. And I was told before I purchased her, they said, oh, everything's perfect, but her eyes are a little bit smaller.
Weird, yeah.
And when you look at it, you're like, oh wow, they really are. But you wouldn't notice it normally just in passing. But once you have it in your head, you can't unsee it, kind of thing.
Yeah, I think that's the part where I think, especially now, since I've encountered that one time, coincidentally, of having a one eye and that big eye, is now as I produce babies, I'm starting to be a little bit more thorough, not just their normal responsive behaviors and making sure that they're thriving and eating, but also examining them to see, can I pinpoint anomalies out of there? Especially since if you're going to be selling an animal to somebody else who's going to be breeding it, you want to make sure that you're spreading a good gene pool onto everybody down the road.
That's very important to me, and I hammer on that all the time with people. I actually had somebody call me a dick the other day because I said that, if an animal's doing very poorly like that, it's, either going to get pithed or it's going to get fed off to a snake eater or something so it doesn't go to waste. But yeah, they call me a dick for that because they have a snake that like needed to be assist fed for months and now is doing okay, and that happens sometimes. But I don't think that's an animal you want to breed because something's off somewhere, whether we can figure it out or not, that's causing an animal not to want to eat for so long.
Right.
They seem to know a little bit more than we do sometimes, I've noticed. I don't know what you found, but I found with assist feeding, when you do it, a certain percentage of them seem to pass somewhere after you start that process.
Yeah, I actually absolutely refuse to assist feed any of the short-tail animals that I've had, and I've been doing this consistently for a couple decades. Is I refuse to assist feed them because it's really my responsibility to put them in the environment that makes them
Right.
thrive. And
It's very rare that they don't want to eat. They're pretty.
yeah, they're and if they're not eating on their own, and you've exhausted sort of the different steps, which during that critical like first maybe 6 to 8 weeks, if you can't get them to even respond to it, there's usually something that you should be aware of. And I think especially since we've been dealing with limited populations from the original wild animals, I think if we want to be able to maintain strong genes over the long run, and I think where I learned that was working with the Sarawaks, because there's so few animals that originally, there was only 6 that came in, of which I think only 5 actually were part of the reproducing. You're going to get to a point the gene pool is just going to be too shallow. We've seen it for years with the bearded dragons, and there was larger numbers than that.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because I think they're really cool, but you are going to hit a wall eventually where you can't.
So we have to be consistent and conscientious about the sustainability of keeping these animals. We love them. Let's just make sure that we do it proper.
Absolutely.
Because I'll probably be still doing this, 40 years from now if I can live that long.
Yeah, I was going to say I don't see a time period where I want to stop. I might scale down eventually when I'm older, just because of what you can manage now versus later on in life, but I don't see any reason otherwise.
No, I just got to quit the day job so I can.
Yeah, there you go.
So when I retire in a few years, that'll be my goal.
There you go.
Just in time for my sulcatas to continue getting large.
Yeah. How old are they now?
I got the one male in '95, so he's 25 years old, and then the female, I took her in as a rescue a few years ago, so she's probably about the same because they're both comparable size.
Yeah.
But 80 pounds as of just a couple weeks ago when I brought them in for the season.
Yeah.
They're going to continue to grow, and
it's crazy to think 25 years old and they're only about what, a third of their adult size.
Oh yeah, right.
Or something like that.
Potentially, yeah. I mean, we're looking at. I've got animals that are certainly in their teens. I've got, so I'm kind of used to that longevity thing, but you have to think a little bit about the planning. It's like what happens, and I'm already working on a cage design so I can minimize the office worker back stress.
I was going to say, once they get a certain weight, it's hard to move them. If they don't want to move on their own, then
it's part of the reason why I got bloods is you don't have to worry. In short tails is they don't have to worry about the gargantuan retics rocks and
I was
birds.
Gonna say 30, maybe 35 pounds is about pushing what you other have to do.
I think even my big red that I pulled him out first, I think he's he's on a lean side at 28 pounds. So he's got a good shape.
Yeah.
So,
anything else you want to show before we?
That's it's kind of the collection. It's kind of a little bit. I mean, I could show the little babies. I think people have seen those on Morph Market. People could always follow me on there. Either as Rich Crowley Reptiles, or I'm now doing R&D Exotics LLC to kind of formalize this more.
Yeah. I'll put a link to some of your stuff on there when I post the video too, so people can follow that. Make it nice and easy for them.
And I think one of the things that what we failed to look at is we got a great network of short-tail breeders out there that everybody gets along really well. Kind of unique in the reptile
it's like
world.
the only community I've been in where everybody's really supportive and actually friends and gets along. And
but even to new entrants, people that come on board. I mean, I answer questions all the time for people they don't necessarily buy from me. I'm always referring people to some of the other breeders because I know that that's the great place to go to for whatever.
I do the same, especially I'll ask people because they come, I want a blood python. Well, what are you looking for exactly?
Right.
And then if it's something that I have, great. If it's not, it's something Matt has, you have, Kara, whoever, I'll send them that direction because ultimately you want somebody to get what they want.
Absolutely.
So that they're passionate about it 20 years from now and still excited when they open the cage,
Yeah, I'm still feeling there's not enough breeders out there to really be able to supply the potential demand that's out there, and I think people need to they stop and think a little bit about what they want to do and what they want to get involved with for the next few years. You can really cherry pick. Some people do a great job of breeding certain types of appearances, and I say, do your homework and zero in on that.
That's everybody should pick a direction. I talk about that too all the time because it's really easy to get 900 directions because there's so much cool stuff.
Right.
And my collection's a little more diverse than it probably should be, but it's hard, especially keeping Borneos. Borneos, if you have ADD, don't get into those because you're going to be 900 directions in a hurry.
Yeah, I've actually scaled back on the Borneos because I think at one time I was probably looking at about 60 or 70 Borneos only. And I'd be like a Matt Minatello with all the Borneos.
I have probably about that many Borneos now. Yeah, it's tough. Everything keeps getting bigger cages, more space, more time.
Yeah. I got room in my basement. I'll just keep expanding.
Yeah, there you go. All right, well, thank you very much. So
Thanks.
people definitely check out, I'll put the links there. And if you haven't gotten the book yet, make sure that you do. Like I said, I read it, I enjoyed it. It's still sitting on top of my snake cages right now, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, good place.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So it's right in my snake room there. So thank you again, Rich, and we'll see you guys.
Thanks.